Hi, I'm Andrew from First Off the Bike. With me today I've got Stewart Morton from Specialised. Stewart is one of Specialised's expert bike fitters. He goes all over the world fitting people to their bikes, and as well as fitting pro road riders and everyday road riders, he also spends a fair bit of time working with triathletes. Today we're going to talk to Stewart a little bit about bike fit generally, and then we're going to look at how it relates to triathlon specifically. Stewart, I see a lot of guys on their bikes that don't look comfortable. You know, I see a lot of knees sticking out and people that can't stay aero and all sorts of horrible sins. How sort of well understood do you think bike fit is these days? Do you think people are getting it?
I think people are starting to understand the importance of bike fit now. It's still a little bit of a mystery to some people, and I guess with the process we go through with our riders, we're able to sort of establish what's possible for that person as opposed to what's possible from what they're seeing in a magazine or what they've seen of their, these riders they aspire to be. So yeah, definitely it's becoming more prominent, but we're working pretty hard at Specialised with Body Geometry Fit to really give people a good understanding of how they can possibly benefit from fit and and how they can actually improve their riding, particularly with their triathlon.
Sure. Yeah. We hear BG fit. I hear people coming in saying, I had a Retool fit or I went and saw this particular guru. Mm-hmm. Explain Body Geometry Fit. That's Specialised proprietary fit system, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does that work? How would that be different to, say, a Retool fit?
Yep. So I guess the important thing to understand with Body Geometry Fit is that it's we do all of the assessment off the bike. So prior to them even getting on the bike, we do a pre-fit assessment. So there's 21 steps that we go through, a lot of which you would see with if you went to your local osteo or myotherapist or physiotherapist, any of those health professionals. A lot of what we do in that is going to be done in our process as well. And the reason we do that is to get a better understanding of the rider and their body and what their body can and maybe can't do, be it flexibility, be it core strength, and various other things that we go through.
So it'd be fair to say that it's got more of an emphasis on the fit process and the pre-fit assessment rather than using tools.
Yeah, for sure. And so, to answer your question on maybe a Retool or whatever systems that someone may use, there's definitely a lot of options out there now. We're seeing where there are, I guess I refer to them as a fancy tool, and the important thing is, a fancy tool is never going to fit anyone. If there was something that was a fancy tool that could fit somebody, then we'd probably all have it, and I'd probably be redundant. But
Sure.
It definitely comes down to the fitter and what they understand and looking at the human body.
If we look at triathlon specifically with a swim, a bike ride, and often a very long run afterwards, it's perhaps an unreasonable request on the body. How does fitting change when you're looking at a triathlete? Is it a different process, or is it more, how are you looking at the bike to run section of it as well as just fitting someone to their bike?
Yeah, it's super important when it comes to triathlon. And exactly
probably
that.
To put it another way, do you think, is it more about getting them aero? Is it more about getting them comfortable? Maybe talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you need to have a good balance of both. And again, this is where going through the fit process and the pre-fit assessment gives us a better idea as to what is actually going to be possible on the bike. So for all the talk of aero and being more aerodynamic, when you talk about riding 180 kilometers and then running a marathon after that, to have what looks like and what may be an aerodynamic position may be okay for the first 15 or 20 kilometers for somebody.
Sure.
But realistically, to do that for 4 through to 8, 9 hours for some riders on a bike, it's just not sustainable. So I think that getting comfort is super important, particularly in long distance triathlon. When we look at someone, for example, that's not triathlon, we talk about maybe a prologue, for example, in a Tour de France where it's 8 or 9 kilometres.
Very aggressive position, yeah.
They get off, they basically collapse at the finish line, and they're carried to the soignure, and that's them finished for the day.
Yeah, for sure. There's no running after that.
Yeah, there's nothing to be done after that. So whereas, as you'd be aware, with Ironman, you've got to get off and run a marathon. So
definitely. And look, just lastly, in terms of, I guess, bike fit sins, the things you see that people do wrong in triathlon, what do you think the most common things are that people are doing wrong in terms of their position, in terms of their fit?
I would say definitely trying to be more aero which is that word
Trying
gets
to go
bandied
too
around
low.
so much. Trying to go too low at the front, too low and too long is a lot of what we see. And you see riders just fighting with the bike the whole time over that.
Don't look comfy on the bike.
Yeah, they're just not comfortable. And I know from experience that if we can, and I've done it with a lot of riders, where we actually lift them at the front of the bike, they become more comfortable. They, in fact, relax their back in a lot of cases more so, and they actually become lower by lifting the front of the bike. So that's something that people find kind of hard to understand, but if you go through that process and you see a before and after shot of you on the bike, you definitely notice that coming up has its benefits. Over 5 or 6 hours, if you can be more comfortable.
I would take that.
Yeah, so definitely being too low is one of those key things I see a lot of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Stuart, thanks very much for that.
No problem.
For all of you out there, definitely if you haven't been fitted to your bike, think about going in and getting a fit done, because there's no way you can run to your potential if you're not comfy on your bike and you can't produce the goods.